Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to iRacing Superspeedway as it plays host to the 8th race of the 3rd season of the UpperEdge Racing Baadteshop Superspeedway Series. Getting ready here today for 57 laps of action-packed racing, the widest racetrack that we have on the current schedule, and we are now entering into the home stretch pretty much of the season. When the checkered flag waves here today, we will be 2/3 of the way through the season, and it's getting very congested up there at the top of the standings board with several drivers starting to make some cases for themselves to potentially be taking home the championship trophy in the season finale. I'm Seth Cole, and this evening, as we get ready for what should be a great race, we're going to see only a handful of drivers out there on the racetrack. 10 drivers in total look like they're going to be rolling off from the grid, but usually we see the races that have the lower car counts be just as exciting with the moves that are made. It'll be interesting to see here, too, with it being as wide a racetrack as it is, it can hold them 5, 6 wide, and that's above the yellow line. They are allowed to go below the yellow line if they so choose. It's not an out of bounds. It'll be interesting to see what kind of runs will be generated, what kind of moves will be made. It's going to be very interesting to see how this one plays out, as Joey Chapman is now 2 for 2 this season in capturing pole positions at iRacing Superspeedway. It is his 3rd pole on the season overall. He'll be alongside of our current points leader, Bronson Stafford. 3rd place will be Justin Durand, and his brother David will be alongside of him in 4th. So an all Durand road 2. 5th starting spot will be Michael Norman. Dylan Body rolling off from the outside of row number 3. Mike Tellier, who picked up the victory 2 weeks ago. Of course, we were off last week, but Mike Tellier ended up finishing 2nd last week, which jumped him up to 2nd in the point standings. He is going to roll off 7th alongside of Robert Kenny, multi-time winner on the season. And then bringing up the 5th and final row is going to be Matthew Rodriguez and Jason Shuey, who both did not put down a lap time. iRacing pace car sits on the apron of the front straightaway. Everybody getting ready to grid. Looks like we're waiting on a few drivers, and then they will roll off behind the pace car here for the pace lap. So I mentioned that things are very congested now atop the point standings. Coming off of Easter off week, Bronson Stafford, still your points leader, the 2-time winner, holds 69 points over Mike Tellier. Tellier jumping up to 2nd in the standings with his good run a couple of weeks ago at Daytona. And then Robert Kenny dropped to 3rd, the other 2-time winner on the season, but he's only 80 points outside of the top position. And we say it week after week, season after season, the unusual points system here in the Baadteshop Superspeedway Series states that both of those drivers, Tellier and Kenny, would be within striking distance of taking the points lead away from Bronson Stafford even here today, depending on circumstances. Michael Norman is 4th in the points coming into this one, 126 points out. A victory for him could put him into the conversation in the next few weeks for the championship. And Justin Durand, who's having a career year, he is 5th in the point standings. 7 races and 7 finishes inside of the top 10. So it's been a very consistent year for him. We saw him lead a number of laps last week as well, and saw his brother and former champion David Durand pick up his first victory since all the way back in the Season 1 finale. So a limited number of drivers here today. We know the Durands are going to work together. We know the Sky Motorsports cars are going to be working together, but there's a few drivers that are kind of caught out without alliances. That'll be interesting to see who exactly they team up with here today. Most notably, the 21 of Michael Norman. We're used to seeing him work with fellow Ford Mustangs week after week, whether it be Vincent Valvano or John Cananzaro. Jason Shuey there in the 3, and Dylan Body, the only member of the Monster Brigade here today in that 6th. Green flag is in the air as the Baadteshop 171 at iRacing Superspeedway is green. Top line got a really good jump. Bronson Stafford, with help from David Durand, had a nose on Joey Chapman going into turn 1. Now the shorter way around the racetrack looks like it's going to prevail out of turn 2. Justin Duran there, the nationwide paint scheme. That Dale Jr. throwback, he went almost to the apron. Rodriguez going to test the apron there as well, as they fan out down the back straightaway. David Durand, whoa, going to take the top spot as Michael Norman almost made contact there with Joey Chapman. He's stuck in the middle 3 wide now. Robert Kenny jumps up to the top. That's a 3-way battle for 3rd as Chapman clear for 2nd. Now Kenny gets a run alongside of him. Here comes Chapman, who leads the first lap. It is David Duran, the Valvoline Chevrolet, leading lap number 1 here today at iRacing Superspeedway, and that was just the first lap there, guys. Imagine what it's going to be like here for the remainder of this race. Still 56 laps to run. Chapman in control on the inside line. Look at Matthew Rodriguez up there all by his lonesome, trying to side draft Justin Duran, the 29, losing some momentum there down the back straightaway. He's going to pick up some drafting help from Mike Tellier. Whoa! 29 of Justin Duran got the apron there into turn 3. That might have been what happened to Michael Norman the lap before when we saw him shoot up the racetrack in front of Chapman. So that apron in turn 3 causing a bit of issues for some drivers. That'll be something we'll keep an eye on during the course of this race. Is 3 wide for the lead. Kenny to the top. David in the middle, trying to clear Chapman on the bottom. He will clear him, but Kenny will clear them both. So the dive bomber will go to the front. Robert Kenny, Bronson Stafford, both trying to become the first 3-time winner on the season. They currently both sit at 2 wins apiece. Robert Kenny also trying to get himself a little bit of a comeback run here this week. A couple of weeks ago, last race out, finished dead last, 14th at Daytona. Lost a spot in the standings, dropped from 2nd to 3rd as a result to Mike Tellier, who right now is hooked up with Matthew Rodriguez on the outside line, and we're 2-car tandeming. Kenny's got David Duran, Joey Chapman's got Justin Duran, and Mike Tellier, Matthew Rodriguez, high, wide, and handsome. They're creating the most speed down the front straightaway. Look at this run they're going to have. Heading down into turn 1, Rodriguez, is he clear? Not quite. Might be by the center of the corner if they keep that momentum going in the right direction, and I think Kenny's still to that left rear quarter panel. Justin Duran now jumps up to the high side. Looking back from Rodriguez to Mike Tellier, staying committed to the 57, who now tucks down in front of Robert Kenny going into turn 3. You saw that bump, got Rodriguez a little bit out of shape. But he is in front, trying to come around and lead this lap. Kenny says not so fast. Where does David go? He's going to go up top 3 wide. He's going to have the momentum as David Duran, so he'll lead the lap. Race P1 and P2. As the field got really spread out. Everybody trying to recover from that 3 wide, almost 4 wide situation into turn 1. A couple of drivers have really faded back there. They're not out of the draft, but Dylan Body in 61, or Bronson Stafford, as well as the 21 of Michael Norman. They've kind of lost touch. I think something actually a little bit more sinister there for Michael Norman. That car has lost the draft now, actually. I don't know if Dylan Body, Bronson Stafford, if they were dropping back to maybe try and pick him up. Bear in mind, Michael Norman, as we mentioned, did get the the apron. There appears to be, I might be seeing this wrong, but it appears to be maybe some damage on the right front on Michael Norman's machine. So he might have gotten up a little too wide and gotten to the outside wall at some point. We might have missed out on that, and now he's hoping, obviously, for a caution to come out. I don't know if these drivers continue to race double wide and three wide, if that would slow them enough for Norman to be able to pick up the draft. And it looks like Mike Tellier and Bronson Stafford, I think these guys are dropping back to try and pick up the 21 here. I don't know exactly what the spatial difference is that you have to have between one car and another for them still to be in the slipstream and still be able to get the draft, but I think right there, visibly, it looks like maybe Michael Norman might be able to latch on to Bronson Stafford. As at the front, Joey Chapman together. We talked about the hardships for one Joey Chapman. Qualifies well every week that he participates, but just doesn't seem to get the finishes reflecting how strong that car is. In the 6 starts he's made this season, 3 finishes inside the top 10 and only 1 finish inside of the top 5. So looking to see if today he can end the curse, if you will. It's a beautiful looking paint scheme there, as well as it's obviously a throwback to, I believe that's a Martin Truex Jr. throwback. Uncertain of what year that would be. Possibly 2004, I think. 2004, 2005. I think that was back a scheme that Truex ran during the then Nationwide Series days. As David Durand tasted victory lane for the first time in a long time last week. His brother Justin right there with him. Now David Durand, with that victory last week, he jumped up 6 spots in the standings. Well, I shouldn't say last week, 2 weeks ago. From 13th to 7th, David jumped up. He's 178 points back coming into this one. So he still has a shot, if he can keep the momentum going in the right direction, to potentially be able to challenge for the championship. The one thing now, though, when you look at drivers like David Durand, Bill Edwards, Sebastian Miller, these drivers are still within 200 points of the points leader, which under normal circumstances would mean, they've still got a shot with the number of races left to be able to get up there in the conversation for the championship by the time we come back here to iRacing Superspeedway with the championship hanging in the balance. The problem is, though, they need the car counts to be bigger. They need more points to be divvied up between themselves and the drivers they're trying to catch and pass in the point standings. And I don't know if here today, even with 10 drivers, if they're going to be able to make up a lot of ground. They'll make up some, but I don't know if they'll make up a lot of ground if one of them are able to go to victory lane and drivers like Stafford and Tellier and Robert Kenny finish 8th through 10th. One thing that I heard during drivers' meeting, though, the smaller car count kind of gives these guys freedom to be able to be a little bit more aggressive and experiment with some moves, maybe try something a little bit unorthodox. We're seeing a lot of jostling for position, a lot of two-car tandeming going on here, a couple of peaks down below the yellow line on both the front and back straightaways, so these drivers are definitely testing the waters. We're also going to possibly see this race, and I might have just jinxed it, we might see this race have green flag pit stops come into play. This is the second time this season that the drivers have been to iRacing Superspeedway, and it's the second of 3 trips that they will make to this racetrack. As mentioned, the season finale going to be here as well. So we had this as the season opener, race 8, 2/3 of the way through the season, and the final race of the season. The season opener saw 18 drivers take the green flag, and the driver that took the checkered flag in that one, Bronson Stafford, your current points leader. Who finished second to him? Robert Kenny. So the 2 drivers that have 4 wins between them here in Season 3 finished first and second at this racetrack back in well, actually, it was late February. Kenny now with Rodriguez trying to get a run on the Durans. Justin leading David on that inside line. And Rodriguez, I don't know if he got loose or if he ended up having a little bit of contact that sent him down towards pit road. Nice save. Fortunately, all that space before you get to pit road entry. Rodriguez keeps it pointed in the right direction. Update on Michael Norman. He just came down pit lane about a lap ago. Did a little bit of repair on that machine. No fast repair, we should note. A little bit of repair, returned back to the racetrack. He is currently running a lap down in the 10th position. So if we get a caution, he would get the lucky dog. The thing that he has to hope for now is that he doesn't end up getting lapped again under green flag conditions, because then that means he would need 2 cautions to be able to get himself back on the lead lap and in contention for this victory. It's like Dylan Body in the 6th. We were wondering about him when he was dropping back, if he was up to speed. Looks like he is. And let's keep an eye on those 2 cars further back there, Robert Kenny, Bronson Stafford, because this is looking eerily similar to a move that they pulled off back in the season opener, where they fell way back behind the lead group, tandemed up, and then got a huge run and swung around everybody on the top side. Keep an eye on those guys. Watch the gap between them. There you see them, kind of straggling the rest of the field. Mike Tellier trying to make a move there on David Durand. Almost contact between the two. I think there actually was contact between the two of them there. Tellier's right front and Durand's left rear, as David now makes an exit to the top side. Here comes Bronson Stafford and Robert Kenny. Let's go on board with this. We gotta see this run that these guys get. Joey Chapman sees it coming, moves up, can't block it. And just like that, from 8th place all the way up to the race lead, Bronson Stafford with help from Robert Kenny. These guys were 8th and 9th the last time by. They crossed the line in 1st and 2nd. You gotta think that some of these guys have got to be going to school and noticing that, and might try and pull that move off here as well. We saw this playbook back in the season opener. They went right back to it here, 14 laps into this race. Matthew Rodriguez, 2 tires down below the yellow line, took a peek on the inside of Bronson Stafford. David Duran swinging up wide after almost contact to himself, and Joey Chapman. Now you're going to be seeing here at the end of the race that the next track we are scheduled to go to is going to be the 2008 variation, the Legacy Daytona. But there was some talk that that may not be the case. Maybe a schedule change here for next week. We're going to wait and see about that. But tentatively, we are going back to Legacy Daytona. It'll be the 3rd time, I believe. Yes, 3rd and final time that we would be scheduled to go back to that racetrack. It's kind of ironic, mention the fact that Robert Kenny, Bronson Stafford have great numbers here at iRacing Superspeedway. Well, if we do end up going to the Legacy version of Daytona next week, Kenny and Stafford, the 2 former winners this season at that racetrack. So, tell you what, doesn't matter what kind of a super speedway it is, those 2 seem to always be up there. And look at this, 3 wide, 4 wide, how about 5 wide, baby, out into turn 1. 4 wide still. Wow, that was close between Chapman and Body. Nearly had our first caution of the day, which Michael Norman is still in search of. But Rodriguez to the point, Stafford to 2nd, Tellier to 3rd, and it's not over. Tellier, I thought, might jump up there to the top side 3 wide, with Stafford making the move on the inside of Rodriguez, but instead he'll stay committed to the 57. Look at the middle line. Oh, and Rodriguez throwing a block on Durand. Did they save that? Oh, nope, they didn't. Tellier's up the racetrack. Dylan Body's in the wall. That was a bad block. There's the caution Michael Norman wanted to see. Dylan Body got the worst out of that. They almost saved that, too. David Durand was all out of shape and managed to keep it going. Mike Teller, we saw him spin, and Dylan Body was up into the wall. Don't know about the others that might have gotten bits and pieces of it. Let's go back and take a look. This one, at least from what I saw, Rodriguez saw the run coming up the middle, went to block it, and he was not clear. Watch this down the back straightaway. See the Durands up the middle. David, now watch Matthew. Oh. Well, I put the blame on Rodriguez, but he was clear. What happened, actually, was Rodriguez moved down. I don't know if it was to block or not. Tellier, I don't think, realized that he had a car to his inside that quickly, and I think he was trying to just follow in the tire tracks of Rodriguez. Let's see if we get another angle of it. I honestly think that Tellier was just following where Rodriguez was going when he moved down when Rodriguez moved down, and Durand was there. That's a heck of a save there by David Durand, though. Bronson Stafford as well, but you saw both of them had damage. Right front damage for the 24 and left front damage for the 61. So they will have to make a choice of whether to sustain that damage for the foreseeable future or take on the faster pair. Dylan Body came down pit road when pits were closed and took his faster pair on already. And everybody on pit road here. Joey Chapman with the benefit of the first pit stall. Everyone's going to take on tires. There you see the front end damage on the 24. Rodriguez going to win the battle off pit lane. Justin Durand comes out second. Robert Kenny will be third. And then the rest of these drivers here, I think most of them are getting some damage repair done. I'm pretty certain that Dylan Body came down pit road when pits were closed. He came down out of turn 4 on the lap that the wreck took place, so don't know if he will have to drop to the tail or if he'll come down pit road again to top off the fuel tank. But he did take on his faster pair, as did the 97 of Mike Tellier, the two that got the most damage from that incident. So they will be running the remainder of this race without that mulligan in play. David Durand has just left pit lane. Bronson Stafford also has left the pit road. Both of those drivers electing to repair their damage manually. About 50 seconds spent in his pit stall for Stafford. Nearly a minute for David Durand. And you see now Dylan Body dropping to the back since he entered a closed pit road, which means Matthew Rodriguez will be our leader when we go back green. And it may be this time around that we will go back green, as you saw Rodriguez pull down low in front of Justin Durand. Start-finish line is the choose cone for the drivers. And there's going to be a lot of drivers on the inside line here because Kenny, Jason Shuey coming down pit road to top off the fuel tank. If you come down pit road at the 1 to green, you then start EOL. And right now, the only line that there is the inside line. Looks like Bronson Stafford will actually line up in the 3rd or 4th position. We'll see which line he takes. Does he go to the top or does he go to the bottom? He goes to the top. So Michael Norman getting the free pass under this caution puts all 10 drivers that took the green to start this race back on the lead lap. As they run right now, it'll be Rodriguez, the leader. Stafford will be second. As right now, Bronson Stafford role-playing as the iRacing pace car. Justin Durand will be third. Joey Chapman fourth. And right now, Dylan Body would be scheduled to roll fifth, which I think he will be able to do. Nope, he's now dropping further back. Robert Kenny will actually restart in the 5th position. So 2 drivers, a faster pair in the hole. About 2 or 3 drivers have some pretty visible damage. And we will see how that damage affects them as far as their ability to be able to lead lines, be up to speed, stay in the draft. How aerodynamically sound are they going to be? Green flag in the air. Bronson Stafford chose the top line, and everybody else was on the inside line, so he's going to be looking for a drafting partner ASAP. He'll tuck down in front of Joey Chapman, slot into the 3rd position. So right now, drivers that I know of have damage that they did not repair. Bronson Stafford, David Durand, and let's not forget Michael Norman had the unscheduled pit stop where he did not take on a faster pair, but that's how he fell a lap down. And he still has that said damage. I guess that 61 car is all right, huh? To the lead with help from Joey Chapman. Robert Kenny will slot into 3rd. Actually, the 60's got some damage on the rear. Does Chapman. So add him to the list of drivers that's sporting just a little bit of battle scars. As top line, Robert Kenny, big push from Justin Durand and Matthew Rodriguez. He's going to go to the point. Closing in on halfway here through the Baadteshop 171 at iRacing Superspeedway, and at least one more pit stop in the future for these drivers as well. We went back green with roughly 39 laps to go. They cannot make it the rest of that scheduled distance on what they had in the tank, even those drivers that came down and topped off at the 1 to green, which would be Jason Shuey and Robert Kenny. Kenny right now the race leader, Jason Shuey back in the 9th position. If you're looking for the driver that currently would be in possession of the 10 bonus points for improving his current running position from where he started, it would be that 10 car of Robert Kenny. That might change now as he starts to free fall through the field, but when he was leading, he was up 7 spots from his original starting position. How about Michael Norman? To the lead. Oh, someone got turned! That was Durand and Chapman. Caution's out for the 2nd time here today at iRacing Superspeedway. Durand was the one that got hooked. I saw him 45 degrees, pointed down the wrong way. Joey Chapman collected up in it. I don't think either one of them hit the wall, though. They both spun down to the apron. Both of them already had damage, so this will be more damage that they'll have to deal with, and makes it even more a bigger question of, do you now take on the faster pair or not? They were both running up in the lead pack, appeared to be up to speed. We saw Chapman actually push Bronson Stafford up to the race lead just a few laps ago. And what leads to this? Into turn 1. 4 wide. Gap whack. Nobody's fault on that one. Clearly with space in between the left rear of David Durand and the right front of Joey Chapman. Gap whack coming into play. Granted, there was a lot of jostling for room there with 3 wide, almost 4 wide going into turn 1, but there was no visible contact made. Let's see if we can get another angle of this. Right there, you can clearly see there is space between the two. Rather minor incident there also, so I think that David Durand and Joey Chapman, if they hadn't taken the faster pair on after getting involved in the last wreck, they will not take it on with this wreck. Let's see if we can get another angle. Let's actually take an onboard with Joey Chapman just to get an idea of really how much space there really was in between those two cars. Here's onboard with 60. Yeah, it's close. It's very close for sure, but that was definitely a byproduct of gap whack. And everybody's coming down pit road now, so As we start to push the fuel numbers closer and closer to the end of this race, now I'm starting to get into the realm of I don't know if they can make it on fuel or not. Back on that last restart, I know they couldn't make it, but now it's a big question mark. Let's remember, too, that it's 3 miles around this super speedway. That's a long distance to be able to try and save some fuel. I don't know how many laps they can save under these pacing periods, but if we continue to have cautions breeding cautions, these guys could be getting closer and closer to seeing the next pit stop be the last time they come to pit road. Joey Chapman, very quick pit stop for him. Didn't even spend time repairing damage. David Durand still sits in his pit stall as the crew continues to band-aid up that Valvoline Chevrolet, but does not appear to be taking on a fast repair at this point in time either. No lucky dog under this caution. So all 10 drivers will still be on the lead lap here for this upcoming restart. And like I was going to say, what a difference of landscape for Michael Norman. Had that early damage, made the unscheduled pit stop, fell a lap down, got the lucky dog. Next thing we know, about 24 laps later, he's up here leading this race and going to be leading us to our upcoming restart, which will be taking place in just a few moments. We'll be waiting for that iRacing pace car's lights to go out and get ready to turn these guys loose. Almost to the halfway point of this race. We will reach that point at lap 28. Well, halfway through lap 29, theoretically. And as we wait for the iRacing pace car to give us the indication of 1 to green and drivers, a couple of them ducking onto pit road, top off the fuel tank again, we're going to step aside for a quick commercial break. Then we'll be back here for the green flag. You're watching the Baadteshop 171 at iRacing Superspeedway, Race 8 of the Baadteshop Superspeedway Series. We're going to be back in just a moment as we go FRN side by side.
Welcome, race fans. This is Paul Page, the voice of IndyCars. And today we're excited to present another IndyCar event brought to you by the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. From the Unzers to Mears, Foyt, and Andretti, now it's Corley, Peterson, Davies, Gardner, and team. You can expect high speeds, incredible wheel-to-wheel action, and intense drama that you could only get in an IndyCar. So sit back and enjoy your favorite drivers from all over the world take the track. Dark Horse IndyCar drivers, start your engine.
Green flag back in the air here at iRacing Superspeedway. Michael Norman back up through the gears. Justin Durand was with him, but they have broken apart. Watch up on the top side. The alliance is back with Stafford and Chapman. We saw this on the last restart as well. Those Toyota Camrys hooked up. High, wide, and handsome off of turn number 2. Justin Durand going to get to the back bumper, Michael Norman, but too little too late. They're going to fall from first and second back to third and fourth down the back straightaway. Another tandem behind them. Matthew Rodriguez with help from Dylan Body. Let's go on board with Rodriguez. Watch the run he's going to get with this push. Dives low, moves high. Chapman and Stafford get broken up through the middle. No lift for Matthew Rodriguez. And Body will move to third and fourth. trying to get first and second from Norman and Duran, but I don't think they've got the momentum right now down the front straightaway. Just amazing when you go on board with these cars and you see the momentum and the speed that they can carry with just a simple two-car tandem. It's like you're driving on the left side of a highway and you're bypassing all those that are doing the speed limit. Not to say that if you're in the left lane, you're not doing the speed limit, but you know, you get the picture. As Michael Norman and Justin Duran continue to tandem, and this is interesting here. Remember I mentioned that there were drivers in this field that a lot of the allies they were used to working with are not in the field with them here today. While Michael Norman was one of those drivers, David Duran now has seemed to kind of make a makeshift teammate out of the 21 because his brother David is somewhat off the pace, damaged towards the rear of this field, not as up to speed currently as he was in the early portions of this race. So obviously that will change, I think, when David Duran eventually decides to take on his faster pair, but he, like many others, is hoping to hold on to it here for the latter portions of the race, fully expecting that there's going to be another caution between now and then. Look at this, maybe a three-car tandem on the top. Matthew Rodriguez, Robert Kenny, and Mike Tellier. This has been a big talking point as well. We know the Sky Motorsports cars all like to work together, but you've got three of them right now in the top three positions in the point standings. 5 wins between those three. And they're all right now very much so in the conversation for the championship. It's kind of like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Well, in this case, it's the friend of my friend is my enemy, because they want to work together, but while they're working with each other, they're also working against themselves. They're helping their competition be able to get points, which in turn is losing them points for the points lead. It goes back to, we were talking about Bronson Stafford and the tear of consistency he was on the first half of the season. He was getting help from Robert Kenny, who was trying to run him down for the points lead. He was getting help from Mike Tellier, who was trying to run him down for the points lead. But if you've got a fast car, doesn't matter where you are in the point standings, everyone's going to want to work with a fast car. Well, Matthew Rodriguez, I'm now wondering if that move that kind of caught me off guard earlier on in this race might have not actually been a move he made on purpose, because he just did it again. Turning the car hard left off of turn 4 down to that out-of-bounds zone, which is not out of bounds in this series. Kind of testing the waters of how low can he go, and Robert Kenny accepting that as a challenge. Oh my goodness, Rodriguez! He's gone to no man's land. He's in another zip code. Oh, contact! Chapman and Tellier, they get together but keep it pointed in the right direction. My goodness. Well, we're into the second half of this race. The aggressiveness is going to kick up, that's for sure. And we're starting to see a little preview, maybe, of what to expect in the latter portions of this race. Oh, Chapman! Trying to throw a block on Rodriguez. He saved it. He doggone saved it. He was in a four-wheel slide after trying to throw a block on Rodriguez, who was to his right rear quarter panel. And look at this at the front. 3, maybe 4 wide going into turn 1 for a brief moment. And Dylan Body, the lone member of the Monster Brigade here this week. He's now out leading this thing. Tellier into second, and David Durand with that wounded race car is now up to third. I don't know if Rodriguez might have gotten the inside wall when he and Chapman had their little excursion on the front straightaway, but he has certainly lost momentum and may be in danger of losing the pack. Nope, I think he's good. I think he's just barely in the draft of Robert Kenny. There you see the run he gets. So he is good to go. But I think he might have brushed the wall there just a little bit when he and the 60 made that contact here. Wow, look at Chapman dive it down to the inside on Jason Shuey. That's for 4th place. Tellier goes to the race lead now with help from David Durand. Dylan Body says, all right, I got myself to the front. Now I'm going to fall backwards safe. You have to remember, too, that Dylan Body and Mike Tellier have already used their faster pair. So Mike Tellier feeling the safest place right now is out in front. Dylan Body, on the other hand, feeling the safest spot is at the rear of the field. Keep an eye on all the action ahead of him. Tellier wants all the action behind him. If I recall correctly, Joey Chapman, we talk about the hardships he's had here this season. It all really started here at iRacing Superspeedway. I'm pretty certain he was leading on the last lap down the back straightaway before he ended up getting hooked and finished outside of the top 10. So certainly not wanting flashbacks of that second time around here at this 3-mile Superspeedway. Very competitive here today. Been maybe one of the best pushers in this race. He's gotten Mike Tellier up here to the front. Saw him push Rodriguez to the front. He and Bronson Stafford, not once but twice, they worked their way up to the front. And Rodriguez is coming back with help from Robert Kenny, looking for the top position. One of the things that I love about these cars and these racetracks, the setup that they've got here as well, is nobody is ever down and out. When you look at the 24, damage on the front end, he's still competitive. Michael Norman was a lap down. Now he's up here, third on that inside line. Rodriguez, we saw just moments ago, he had looked like what under normal circumstances we would have thought would be losing the draft and having to rely on a caution to catch back up. But no, he's now up here in the middle, 3 wide, battling for the race lead with Tellier on the bottom and David Durand up on the top side. Watch that top line there with Durand and Durand, because I'm not certain if it's a good idea for David to be the lead car of that line. Now they're going to pick up. Is that Chapman, I think, just moved up there? Oh, well, doesn't matter. We're going 3 wide and 4 wide down the back straightaway now. 5 wide peeking Rodriguez as Stafford just split the middle. That kind of reminds me of a move Kyle Busch pulled off today here at Talladega. And they all checked up, and he bypassed about 5 or 6 cars, kept his foot in the throttle. Stafford did that right there. Look at Rodriguez. Yep, that's a patent move there. You do it once, it's questionable. If you do it twice, then it's almost a certainty. You do it a third time, that's a confirmed move that Matthew Rodriguez is doing there on purpose, trying to get that shorter way out of turn 4 down the front stretch. Robert Kenny, I'd have to check this back, but Bronson Stafford coming into this race, I believe, is the only driver in the history of the Baadteshop Superspeedway Series who has taken a checkered flag at every racetrack on the schedule. That would be the current version of Daytona, Legacy Daytona, Talladega, and here at iRacing Superspeedway. If Robert Kenny is able to win today, let me double check on this, but if he's able to win today, I believe he also would fall into that category. Unless it's Daytona. Might be the current version of Daytona that he might be lacking on. Actually, he already has a win at iRacing Superspeedway, and that was back in Season 2 last year, second race of the season. So it's Daytona, the current version of Daytona, that he needs to take a checkered flag, and then he, like Bronson Stafford, would have a victory at every version of Superspeedway that is on the schedule, which really throws up a big question mark on if we are not running the Legacy version of Daytona next week, then where are we going to run? Because we were at Talladega back in the latter portion of March. That would have been about 4 weeks ago, roughly. Wow, speaking of 4 wide. Justin Durand with a big push from Mike Tellier. That high line gets some great momentum on these straightaways. So would we end up going to Talladega next week? If that were the case, then we'd be going to Talladega in 2 out of the next 3 weeks. I don't think we'd come back here at iRacing Superspeedway for back-to-back weeks. The current version of Daytona would be 2 weeks from now, so it would be back-to-back current Daytona races, if we went to the current version of Daytona. There are a couple of other super speedways out there, from what I understand, on the iRacing sim. I don't know if we would end up going to one of those or not. So be sure to tune in next week, because we'll probably find out the same time you guys do when these drivers get ready for practice and everything as to where we're going to be headed next week. We may be at the scheduled legacy version of Daytona, and then again, we might not be. What I do know for certain is we are in the 20 lap to go range now for these guys, and we are starting to see moves that you would expect to probably see on the final lap coming to the checkered flag, which throws into doubt the possibility that we might end up seeing this race come down to green flag pit stops, but then again, you never know. These drivers were on pit lane with 33 laps remaining, so there's no way I still think that they can make it, especially with it being about roughly 4/10 of a mile longer a racetrack than Talladega. Rodriguez, big move to the top with Mike Tellier. Michael Norman, no friends in the middle. Kenny on the bottom with Joey Chapman. It's going to be Rodriguez versus Kenny here down the back straightaway, it would appear. Momentum is on that top line. And for the moment, Rodriguez has scored ahead. Would he be clear by the time they get down here into turn 3? Tellier trying to stay to his back bumper. Oh, it was close, but not quite. Kenny had too much momentum. If Rodriguez had tried to throw the block, he would have gone around off the nose of the 10. Interesting piece of lore about the 10 car. Remember back when I thought that the car looked like a torpedo, and I was told it actually was modeled after a dive bomber? Well, they've gone the extra mile in making it even more authentic. You can't really see it, but down below the contigs, behind the left and right front wheel, they have actually marked the wrecks that the 10 car has been in here this season and the number of cars that Kenny has wrecked in terms of how they would have done it on the warplanes. Usually it was bullets that they would do as the indicator for the number of planes that they would shoot down. Well, Kenny has got that on the side of his race car, marking the amount of wrecks he's been in and the amount of wrecks or cars that he has wrecked during the course of this season. Just an interesting thing. If we had a camera angle, I would have loved to show that to you guys, but I don't think we really have anything that would be able to show you that. Actually, hold on. If we're lucky, well, no, I thought maybe Chapman could get alongside of him. If somebody's able to get alongside of Kenny, we'll see if maybe we can get you a look at it here. Is Tellier going to step out? If Tellier steps out, we might be able to show you. He's not going to step out yet. Oh, Rodriguez, though, might give us a look. All right, let's see if we can see it here from Rodriguez's point of view. If he can get alongside of the 10. He doesn't have a push. I don't know if he's going to get alongside close enough. We're going to try and get you a shot of that here at some point, because it's just so cool. That little added effect. Watch up there on the top left. No, still doesn't have enough momentum to be able to get alongside of the 10 machine. Right now, he's going to be side by side as Rodriguez with Bronson Stafford for third. 3 wide fanned out back there around the 6th position. Oh, car around! Joey Chapman and David Durand. And no caution going to wave. That's the second time those two have gotten together. Now the caution's out. But that's the second time those two guys have gotten together here in this race. Remember before, we saw the gap whack incident into turn 1. That brought out the second caution of the day, and now this one on the back straightaway, and both drivers took some pretty significant hits. Saw some black smoke trailing from underneath the 24, but he has not come to pit road. Both are under power still. And neither one had used their faster pairs. Let's go back and see what happens here. I don't know if there was some more gap whack that came into play. I mean, both cars just shot down to the left and into the inside wall. All right, let's watch this off at 2. Down the back straightaway. Watch the black 60 on the outside line. Kind of just pinched the 24 down, didn't he? Boy, up and into the air, all 4 tires leaving the racing surface. See if we can get a better angle. Might have to go to an aerial shot. Did he feel that he was clear to come down? Oh. I think he was trying to go to the inside of Rodriguez. Didn't realize the 24 was there. That looks almost eerily similar to what we saw happen to Mike Tellier. Be great if you guys could see the replay too, right? Well, watch there as he got to the 57's left rear. He moved down to try and make a pass, and David Durand was there. We'll take an onboard with Joey Chapman just to kind of show you what I'm talking about here. But I believe his move low was in reaction to the run he got in the 57, and he didn't realize that he wasn't clear. He had a big run too. Watch this. Right up to Rodriguez. Moves to the inside. Yeah. That is a wild onboard there with Joey Chapman. Again, like I said, though, fortunate for both him and David Duran that neither one of them had used their faster pairs at this point in time, so they can utilize it now if they so choose. Michael Norman wins the battle off of pit road. Kenny second and Rodriguez in third. The other good news for Joey Chapman and David Durand is they were both able to drive their race cars back to pit road under their own power rather than having to rely on a tow, which would have cost them time. Not necessarily put them a lap down, but certainly would have put them borderline a lap down. As now confirmed, the 24 and the 60 have taken their faster pairs, as has Bronson Stafford in the 61. You know that he has been sporting some damage from the first caution of the day. And so he now has utilized his mulligan, and that means 50% of the field is still left with their faster pair. Your top 5 restarters: Michael Norman, Matthew Rodriguez, Justin Duran, Jason Shuey, and Robert Kenny, who is electing to come back down pit road again and top off that fuel tank. So Robert Kenny, every caution now has come down pit road at the 1 to green to top off the tank. This could be very interesting. We're going to be getting the restart, if my projections are correct, with 12 laps to go. I think these guys can make it on fuel now, so I don't know what the strategy would be for Robert Kenny outside of possibly preparing for the unlimited overtime green-white checkered possibilities. Well, 2 drivers choose the bottom: Michael Norman, Mike Tellier. Everybody else appears to choose the top: Matthew Rodriguez, Justin Durand, and Jason Shuey. So that means that that is the end of the longest line. So Dylan Body's up there. Robert Kenny's going to go up there. Bronson Stafford's going to go up there. So Norman and Mike Tellier are going to have to get some pretty good restarts here to hold off everybody lined up on that outside. There's the new pristine 24, right side of your screen. David Durand entering into the picture. Joey Chapman going to be up to speed again. Well, not necessarily up to speed. He's been up to speed, but he's going to be even more so with a brand new race car, and we'll see what Bronson Stafford with a brand new race car is going to be able to do as well. 12 laps to go here tonight in the body shop. 171 at iRacing Superspeedway. Pace car makes the left-hand turn onto pit road, leaving it in the hands of Michael Norman. Michael with a great launch right there. Mike Tellier was ready for it, and that was exactly the restart the 21-97 needed to have. That was perfectly timed. Rodriguez caught flat-footed. That's now up the racetrack. Norman and Tellier blocking any attempt for Rodriguez with the help from Justin Duran to try and challenge them for first and second. David Duran now pulls up third with Joey Chapman. Ooh, Tellier, big move to the top. Trying to block Rodriguez, and that fans him out 4 wide, now 5 wide as Michael Norman says, all right, nope, I'm not dealing with this. And David Duran now will go to the point with Joey Chapman. Yep, the 2 drivers that we saw airborne on the back straightaway, bringing out our most recent caution, are now first and second. That's the way things work here in the Body Shop Superspeedway Series. That faster pair is such a game changer in terms of constantly flipping the script lap after lap, race after race. Now the Durans will get hooked up. David sees Justin coming, pulls up in front, will get the bump down the front straightaway. Joey Chapman looking for some drafting help, but it's going to be a little ways back. Now it pulls up to his bumper in the form of Jason Shuey. Matthew Rodriguez staying up topside with the Durans, so David will keep the top position at least for the time being. How cool would that be for David Durand? One race weekend, 2 weeks in reality, removed from ending that long winless streak since his championship season. Going to victory lane last week if he were to then win back-to-back races. Top 3 breakaway at the front of the field. David and Justin Duran with Matthew Rodriguez. They're slicing and dicing back there for 4th place on back. 4 wide. Chapman, Jason Shuey, Michael Norman, Dylan Body. You got Mike Tellier, Bronson Stafford, and Robert Kenny just kind of lackadaisically hanging back here. Joey Chapman looking to do the same. Whoa! What happened with Justin Durand? 29 car was off the pace there through 1 and 2. I don't know if there was contact or something, but he is all of a sudden really drifted back, and that would have been up at the front because he was with Matt Rod and David. As now Michael Norman and Jason Shuey going to try the top side against new race leader in the 57. If we get a chance, try and see if we can go back and find out what happened to Justin Durand, who is way back there now. He is outside of the possibility of drafting back up to this lead group, so he needs a caution here in these final 9 laps if he's going to have a shot of being in the conversation. His top 10 streak will remain intact, though, with only 10 drivers taking the green here today. And a lot of movement up here inside of the top 5. Norman jumps to the top. Mike Tellier is going to go up there with him, so it's the Mike and Mike show. Matt Rod on the inside with David Duran. Dylan Body feels this is still not the time to be making moves, so he drops to the back. Robert Kenny has picked up Joey Chapman, who now ditches him to the inside. Kenny going to take it 3 wide by himself. Now it's going to be Chapman up the middle. That was 4 wide, then to 3 wide. Still 3 wide for second with Norman clear to the lead with help from Mike Tellier. Does he stay with the 97? Does he duck to the bottom here in turn 1? He's going to move low. Tellier's going to go there with him as both were clear on Chapman. 8 laps to go, 7.5 this time down the back straightaway. Michael Norman looking for his first victory of the season, second of his career. Won last year in the first of the Dega duels. Mike Tellier looking for his second win on the season. Won earlier on this year at Talladega. Joey Chapman's looking for the first win of his career. Matthew Rodriguez, he is looking for his first victory since all the way back in early October at this racetrack, iRacing Superspeedway, but that was season 1. So much like David Durand and his winless streak, Matthew Rodriguez kind of in that same boat. As a matter of fact, Rodriguez is on a longer winless streak today than Durand was 2 weeks ago when he snapped his. Joey Chapman, though, looking for some iRacing Superspeedway redemption. He's picked up Mike Tellier. David Duran, Matthew Rodriguez. Duran steps out. Rodriguez going to go with him there on the top side. Look at Bronson Stafford back there slicing up the middle. Robert Kenny on the bottom of that three-wide situation. Norman on the top. Coming down to crunch time here at iRacing Superspeedway. Will we see this thing run under regulation? Will we go into overtime? In the season opener, we ran 55 laps here at iRacing Superspeedway, and we ran all regulation laps, did not go into a green-white checkered. 2 extra laps here today. We'll see if they can make it back to the white flag. Still a lot can happen between now and then. Little under 18 miles still left until this race reaches a conclusion under regulation, that is. As now Rodriguez, Kenny trying to side draft each other. Watch that top line there. David Duran, Bronson Stafford. I'm trying to figure out who else they've picked up there. Is that Michael Norman, the 21? Yes, it is. Dylan Body saw that coming, and now Joey Chapman will draft to the outside of Matthew Rodriguez. Look at that. That is textbook side drafting. Pulling the 57 back to him. Edge is ahead for the moment. Robert Kenny, though, with both of them stalled out, gets a big run to the inside. He's got drafting help from Mike Tellier. He's going to lead him back to the start-finish line. 5 to go. I can't help but watch towards the tail end of the field here, though. Drivers like David Duran and Bronson Stafford and Joey Chapman. We've already seen what drivers can do from outside of the top 5. They can then be up to the race lead within half a lap. So watch for those drivers to make some runs. Rodriguez trying something on the top side, but he doesn't have any help whatsoever. Swerving down the back straightaway there. I'm not sure what he's doing. You don't need to warm up the tires here, Matt. It's Kenny and Mike Tellier now. The dive bombers, they're 1 and 2 out of turn number 4, coming to 4 to go. Robert Kenny has a win at this racetrack. Mike Tellier has a win at this racetrack. Kenny's win was back in season 1. Correction, season 2. And Mike Tellier's win here was back in season 2. Michael Norman drafts up to the back of them, though. He's going to jump to the top side. He had the run, but I don't know if he's got the momentum. Certainly doesn't have anybody to help him follow it through as he'll then tuck back in line. David Durand in 4th, Matthew Rodriguez 5th. They're going to jump to the top side again. Watch the alliance there. 3rd lane, Bronson Stafford and Joey Chapman. Is it too early to make a move? Is it too early to make a run here? We still are going to be at 3 to go this next time by. Apparently they feel it's not time yet. They broke up that duo. Got Dylan Body and Jason Shuey back there. 5-car breakaway, then the pack of 4. Then a long ways back, the 29 of Justin Durand, who right now looks like he would be finishing this race in the 10th position should we not have a caution prior to the throwing of the white flag. It does not look like he will come into play as a lap car. I don't see them making up 25 seconds on him in these final 2.5 laps. That's a tough break there for Justin Durand, who is trying to continue to stay up there inside of the front of the field, up inside of the top 5. And maybe close up some ground between himself and the top 3 in the point standings. Rodriguez jumps up to the outside line there. It's a big question, too, of how long can you push? Because we know that these cars can overheat if you're pushing a driver for too long. Joey Chapman almost seemed to move David Durand out of the way. He's going to lead at the line. 6 miles left here at iRacing Superspeedway. Can they make it 3 miles and get back here to the white flag? Whoa, and now way up the track goes Joey Chapman. Might be the mentality of, hey, I don't want to be leading on the last lap. That didn't work out for me last time here. Robert Kenny will go to the point with help from Mike Tellier. Watch for the runs. Watch for the moves here on this final lap. They're all setting it up. Right now it looks spaced out. It looks like nobody knows what they're doing. Believe me, they are all formulating a game plan. And I think the 10 to 97 are out too far. They are going to get swallowed up on this final lap. We've seen runs generated here today. You ain't seen nothing yet. Wait until you see what happens here in these final 3 miles. Where do the alliances formulate? White flag in the air. One more lap to go here at iRacing Superspeedway. Kenny looking for his 3rd win on the season. Tellier looking for his 2nd. This is 2nd and 3rd in points right now, nose to tail as well. Rodriguez into 3rd. He's got Dylan Body and Joey Chapman with him. If they hook up, watch for the run. They could get down this back straightaway. They stay nose to tail. Oh my goodness, look at this run. Look at the run. Matthew Rodriguez, look at the closing rate. Where is he going to take it? He takes it top. Tellier throws the block on him though. Stalled out that run. Body gets into Rodriguez. Hard into the wall. They're still wrecking back there as well. Mike Tellier is around. No caution as we race back to the line. Robert Kenny, can he hold off a final charge by David Durand? Durand's closing. He's almost there, but he's not going to get there in time. Robert Kenny gets win number 3 on the season. His 2nd win of his career at iRacing Superspeedway. And sweet redemption for a dead last finish 2 weeks ago at Daytona International. David Duran crossed in 2nd. Bronson Stafford, the points leader, another podium finish for him as he will cross in 3rd. Well, it certainly looked like Mike Tellier was playing defense for Robert Kenny, and it definitely worked out for sure in Kenny's favor. Mike Tellier, for all his efforts, is going to cross the line in the 8th position. Saw that hard impact straight up into the wall for Matthew Rodriguez. Michael Norman was collected up in that one as well. And by the appearance there, we saw the congratulatory wave out the window by Joey Chapman. It appears he got a piece of that as well. But he brought it home in the 5th position, did Chapman. Well, Robert Kenny going to bring it down, and for the 3rd time this season, he's going to get to do some celebratory burnouts. For Robert Kenny, this is his 3rd victory in the last 4 races. So talk about hitting a hot streak. He's also going to rake in 10 extra bonus points for the most positions improved from starting position. He started 8th and with the win up 7 spots, 1 position higher than the 6 spots gained by Jason Shuey. Not certain about the laps led bonus points, who that would go today, as we had a number of lead changes, not just from start-finish line to start-finish line, but we had lead changes 3 or 4 different times in the course of a lap. They don't count officially, though. As let's go back real quickly and see as the celebration continues for Robert Kenny. Let's go back and see if we can take a look at that final attempt by Matthew Rodriguez going into turn 3 on the final lap. That took a number of drivers out of the running for this checkered flag. We were on board with Rodriguez, saw the momentum he had with the push from Dylan Body. Jumps to the top, Tellier throws the block on him. And then Dylan Body on the apron, clips Mike Tellier. Tellier up into the wall, Dylan Body up into the wall. You can see that Dylan Body came down and got Joey Chapman, so that's where that right front damage came from. But watch this impact with Rodriguez. It's a good thing that we didn't stay on board with the 57 in case anybody is squeamish, because this was a pile drive of a shot. straight up. It's amazing how that car, after it bounced off the wall, though, it landed back on its wheels facing the right direction. That's kind of unique. And puffing its way to a 6th place position for Matthew Rodriguez. By all rights, that car probably shouldn't have made it back to the start-finish line. Here's the onboard. I'm pretty sure the way that car landed, all 4 tires were off the surface with how high banked this racetrack is after that impact. And somehow, someway, when all 4 Goodyears finally touched terra firma, he was facing the right way. So a 10 out of 10 on sticking the landing there for Matthew Rodriguez. As we're going to take a look now at the finishing results from this evening's race. Kenny with the win. David Duran gave it a heck of a shot there. Might have needed an extra 100 feet to be able to get Robert Kenny there. And Bronson Stafford thought about making it a 3-wide photo finish, but they just couldn't quite get there in time. Jason Shuey, great run though. Stayed out of trouble all day, brings home 4th. Joey Chapman got a bit of that last incident, but he finishes the race in the top 5, so certainly an improvement over where he finished the first time we were here this season at iRacing Superspeedway. We saw Rodriguez 6th, Michael Norman 7th, Mike Taylor in 8th, Justin Durand in 9th, and Dylan Body did not make it back to the start-finish line, so Durand was able to pick up a spot from 10th to 9th. Body will finish 10th place here this evening. Now let's see if we can talk with some of our podium finishers here tonight. A wild finish at iRacing Superspeedway, giving us some interesting storylines heading into the final third of this season. And let's see if we can talk with the driver that will still carry the points lead into next week, but it may be cut into a bit, Bronson Stafford. Hey Bronson, Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got me?
I got you, Seth.
Oh man, I'll tell you what, it kind of seemed like some deja vu for me here tonight, based off what we saw you were capable of doing the first time we came here in the season opener, kind of hanging at the back, generating those runs. Next thing we know, we see you up there at the front of the field, but it kind of seemed like here tonight, a lot more strategy had to come into play with the timing of cautions, a smaller field, so not as many drivers to be able to work with to generate runs. How much different was it here tonight as opposed to that season opener based on the car count?
Yeah. It's always a little bit harder when there's not as many people to get the drafts off of. But in general, too, one of the recent iRacing updates really changed something. Even this car now doesn't quite suck up as good as it used to. Like here, the first race here, we were able to get drafts from about 3 seconds back. Now anything more than a second, it kind of stalls pretty hard. And the runs just aren't as strong as they used to be with the car, so position was more important tonight. But I think the biggest thing, my teammates are colluding against me, Seth.
Yeah, we kind of noticed that with this victory here tonight, Robert Kenny going to be cutting into that points lead. So does that make you a little bit worried there down this home stretch? I mean, still a long season left to go, 4 races, anything can happen. You got to change up the strategy a little bit here or something?
I'm not really too worried about it. It's just you can ask Kenny about it when you talk to him for winning, but they're very much in a as long as I don't win and help me lose as many points as possible kind of mindset because of the points gap we established early. I'm glad to get back in the top 3. We had 2 weeks of pretty much finishing as the last car running on the track, and it hasn't worked super great. Just had some bad luck with timing of cautions or not getting a caution when we finally need one and whatnot. So just kind of bad luck there. But yeah, a couple races left. We'll see what happens.
Definitely going to be interesting. Of course, we know that there's a possibility we may not be going to Legacy Daytona next week. We're certainly waiting to find out about that. But also kind of look at the points gap coming into this race as well. We know about the unorthodox point system. Right now, Looks like projected you would still be keeping everybody at bay, keeping that points lead. But are we getting to a point now where you're feeling that you've got to get back to victory lane to open up the points gap again? Or are you still the mentality of just keep the consistent finishes up down the home stretch?
Um, Ask me in another week if I'm up here, depending on where the spots are. Kenny winning this week isn't too bad with third place. If Kenny wins next week, and I'm not at least in third place, I think we have some issues and we'll have to go. I'm pretty sure Kenny with this win too actually just broke the tiebreaker on that Mike, myself, and him had for most wins in the series. So I think he just broke that on his own. So we got to go back and get that now. So he's won like 3 races in the last 4 or 5. Like he's on a good little roll. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, things are getting really interesting here coming down the home stretch of the season. But Bronson, obviously, we know based off of last year, you end up coming into that season with a limited number of starts and we're able to win the championship. So, we'll be certainly keeping an eye out for that number 61 in the upcoming weeks, see if he can find victory lane and organize a strategy to keep these late season charges at bay. But for now, we're going to give you the opportunity for some thank you sponsors and shout outs.
Oh yeah, definitely you up here in the booth doing a great job as always, and Matt and Mike for putting this on. It's been fun, and I think we're starting to look forward to next season stuff and whatnot, stuff like that. And obviously race control, we have a dedicated race control, which is cool. Take time out of their day to literally just come watch people drive race cars. But all the sponsors on the cars, that makes it happen. I would shout out my team tonight, but I don't know. They're not being too kind to me. So maybe Chapman gets a shout out. The rest of them, I don't know. But it's all in good fun. Looking forward to the rest of the season.
Well, that's Bronson Stafford, third place here tonight at iRacing Superspeedway. He will be taking that points lead into next week. By how much, we don't know yet, but certainly going to be an interesting final 4 races, it seems like. Best of luck, Bronson.
Yeah, thanks. So.
Well, 1 week ago, he went back to victory lane for the first time since season 1. Tonight follows it up with a runner-up finish. Let's talk with the former champ, David Durand. Hey, David, it's Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got me?
Yeah, how you doing, Seth?
And I'll tell you what a time to get hot, huh? Win a couple of weeks ago, another podium finish here tonight. Looking like the team, the 24 cars, getting things turned around. Maybe at just the right time. Still 4 races to work with. So what do you think? If this keeps up, do we maybe see you up there contending for a second championship by the time we come back here in the finale at iRacing Superspeedway?
I certainly hope so. Like you said, getting hot at the right time is helping right now. Just basically playing survival, be at the right place at the right time, and avoiding the wrecks. We had a few tonight that could have been avoidable. Avoidable, but we were just trying to just be at the right place at the right time and manage. And our strategy worked pretty good. So getting a second place out of this is pretty good. Solid week for us.
Now, let's talk about that finish because, we know that the way that the setup is with these cars, the draft's so prevalent that it's so easy to be able to generate a run. You had a 2 versus 1 there with yourself and Stafford versus Kenny through 3 and 4. Closed it up on him there, thought maybe you might get him at the line. Is there anything you could have done differently to edge you ahead of him by the time you got to the stripe, or did you need more front straightaway to work with?
Probably a little bit of both. I mean, we shouldn't really been in that situation in the first place anyway, but I knew that it was going to be a wreck at the last lap anyway, but what could have been done differently is probably be in the top 3 and just try to make a run at the end. But yeah, we could have needed another 500, 600 feet, and we would have had Kenny at the line. Surprisingly, Stafford was there to push because I didn't think he was going to do that, but luckily he did, and we almost edged out a W out of it.
Well, still great runs here in the last couple of weeks for you. A win a couple of weeks ago at Daytona. Second place here tonight. We're not certain exactly where we're going next week, but certainly hopefully you can keep this momentum up. Come into this race 6th in the point standings. Might climb another couple of spots here this evening with the good performance. So congratulations on that. And now we'll give you the opportunity to thank some sponsors and do some shout outs, David.
Seth, you run a great broadcast. It was smooth. It's like the think my girlfriend lets me race on Sundays, because if she doesn't, then I wouldn't be in this position. So just thank Radius Racing for letting me run with them, and so is my brother Justin. Too bad he had a bad end right there, getting spun and didn't get a caution out of it. But well, it is what it is, and we'll go on to next week to whatever we're running.
That's David Durand, 2 weeks removed, I should say, from his first win of the season. He finished second place here tonight at iRacing Superspeedway. Congratulations once again, David, and best of luck next week.
You too, Seth.
All right, let's go down to victory lane. 3-time winner on the season, Robert Kenny. Hey, Robert, Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you, Seth.
Man, I'll tell you what, we were talking about the lore of this race car, what you've got there underneath the contigs. We might need to make a third column now for wins, because now most wins on the season, 3 in total. A good comeback as well from the DNF, or the last place finish, I should say, that you had a couple of weeks ago at Daytona. But, I mean, man, 3 wins in the last 4 races. Getting hot at the right time, 4 races left. Certainly look, the momentum is on your side, but is it too early to get confident about maybe taking that points lead and taking that championship? Do you still kind of have to keep your head in the game?
Yes, I would agree. It's a little too early to look at just taking the points lead. We still got 4 races left. Like tonight, I gained 100 points in 1 race. I could have easily gotten 10 points. So there's still a lot of racing left to do. A lot of weeks left. Just gotta keep the head down. Keep quote unquote colluding against Bronson. And just wait and see how this whole thing runs out.
We were just talking moments ago with Bronson, and he used that very word, colluding. I mean, obviously, yourself, Mike, wanted to get up there, make it a fight for this championship for sure. Is it also you kind of want to topple the champ? Because I remember last year when Bronson won the championship, I said, do you feel like going into season 3, you got a target on your back? It kind of seemed like after he had those really good 4 or 5 finishes at the start of the season, you guys have realized, hey, we can't let him get this big a points gap. We got to do something about this.
Yeah, it is a little bit of we want to take down the champ, because if we take down the previous champ, we know we are the best in the league. But also, we know how good Bronson is at super speedways. He's always there at the end and putting himself in the right spots. We just want to keep the points close, so he doesn't run away with it. Like, we want this the championship to come down to like the last race and see what happens. Because last year it was technically came down to the last race, but it was all locked up essentially with before we ran the last race, because we needed, both me and Shane needed to make up almost 90. Well, I needed to make up like 90 points, and Shane needed to make up like 60 or 70, which he could have finished 6th and still won the championship and not even tried. Just wanted to make it close at the end and make it good racing.
The point standings are indeed in from the conclusion of this race. Only 30 points now between yourself and Bronson. Another interesting factor heading into next week is the fact that tentatively on the schedule, we've got it slated that we're going to the legacy version of Daytona, but as we heard in the drivers' meeting, there's a possibility we may not be going there. We may not know exactly where we're going for, maybe the next 24 hours or so. Does that throw an X factor in there that you're worried about, excited about, not knowing exactly which super speedway is coming up next?
I wouldn't say it worries me. It's more, I'm happy to get away from Daytona, Daytona is a great track, don't get me wrong. Just going there 6 different times in a 12 race season, it gets old quick. But if I were to have it my way, we may just run iRacing Superspeedway for the rest of the season, because it puts on great racing no matter what. But we'll see what happens. If it does indeed get changed, or if it doesn't get changed, wherever the track is, I'll be there. I'll try to get me another W. I might just end up destroyed. We just never know.
Well, a great performance once again for you here tonight. Maybe one of the biggest hot streaks we've seen in the series in all 3 seasons. As mentioned, 3rd win in 4 races here this season for you. So job well done. Hopefully we can see you keep up this consistency next week. But now we're going to turn the mic over to you, Robert, for some Victory Lane thank you sponsors and shout outs.
Oh yeah, I just want to thank you guys up in the booth and Afrin putting on great broadcasts every week. Matt Rod and Mike Tellier putting on the league every week. And thanking my teammates for my hot streak of winning, what is it now, 3 races in 4 weeks. I honestly couldn't have done it without them. Like tonight, Mike threw the latest block I've ever seen to try and stop the run. Unfortunately, it wrecked most of the field, but I was kind of happy in the end because I crossed the line first. Bronson's pushed me to a win. I kind of skated through in Daytona 08 after nearly blowing up my engine, pushing Bronson around the whole last few laps because he was almost a lap down. Yeah, that's about it.
Well, Robert Kenny, 3rd win on the season. That's going to be something to keep note of as well in case we end up getting into a tiebreaker situation in the season finale for sure. He's your victor here tonight in the Baadteshop 171 at iRacing Superspeedway. Once again, job well done, Robert, and best of luck next week as you continue to try and eat away that points lead.
All right, thanks. I'll see you next week, hopefully.
And that's going to conclude our coverage here tonight at iRacing Superspeedway. Again, as mentioned, a lot of times we have the smaller fields, and it's just as exciting as if we had a 20-car field. 10 drivers mixing it up here tonight. Some really gutsy moves there on the final lap. And at the end of the evening, Robert Kenny, the dive bomber car, bringing it home with win number 3 on the season. 30 points, the gap between himself and points leader Bronson Stafford. Mike Tellier currently now sits 99 points back in the 3rd position, so he and Kenny swap 2nd place for the 2nd time in 2 races. Michael Norman sits 151 points back in 4th, and David Durand with the runner-up finish here tonight moves back up into the top 5 in the 5th position, 168 points back. But you heard from Robert Kenny here tonight. He gained 100 points with his performance here this evening. So a lot of drivers back there, even 150 plus points back, they still have a shot with 4 races left on the season. Big question mark as to where we're going to go next week. We may be at the legacy version of Daytona. We might be somewhere else, but we certainly hope that you will join us next Sunday night, wherever we bring you coverage from, May the 1st. At 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, though, thank you all for tuning into tonight's race from iRacing Superspeedway. I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to